we have some heavy bandwidth coming out of here. And what do we have? More than a few surprises for everybody in COT. In fact, we have, it looks like a total. You guys hang on just a moment while I do something here. I don't know why they always target, or let's just say something always seems to happen around the time. I even has some lag time on purpose. You know, timing is everything, and when you throw your own timing off, well, normally it throws off watchers. Let's see, we're going to do no. Guys, hold on, we had Mixler totally just crashed. Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to reboot this. So we'll get that in just a few seconds. I hope that everybody is doing okay this evening. And, okay, we have a good restart. I'm excited about some of the direction we're going into, especially with some of these studies that we're doing. Guys, since we're early in the book of Luke, our book of Luke study, we're very early in the book of Luke. I want some of you guys to think about a few things, especially young people, right? Somehow we have to get ourselves positioned. Now, I really want to migrate part of the site over to COT so that we can start incorporating a lot of stories, that some of the topics we talk about for the young people. COT has a site just for young people. I never put that URL out there. It's not known by COT. It's materials based. On occasion, I put some recordings out there to that site. On occasion, I normally don't do that. And the reason why is because you have very vicious people who like to go against ministries. And to keep the kids innocent or away from that, right? I never let the URL out, which is the web address. But I want to incorporate some of that in the COT, in other words, materials processing in a COT, so that the children can benefit from some of the studies that we're having here. Now, of course, those studies are going to have to be refined, thought about. So if any of you guys have ever worked with children, and you're really good with kids, communication with kids, let me know. Let me know. In fact, let Flash and Maddie and Angela know. Let them know. And we'll take it from there, because it would be good to have somebody who could represent some of the materials that we will produce for children to go out just for those children. Educators. Some of you guys have been educators. It would be nice to have you guys on board with that. Of course, we'll need an editor for the kids. Language is very important for children, extremely important, because you don't want to push an agenda, but you want to introduce truth to a child where it does not cause them instant conflict with the home. It really is a fine line. I'll talk to some of you about that as we get into it, because you would think you could just teach a child what's there and you're fine. But unfortunately, some of these children have households and their families don't exactly adopt all of the views that you may. And so you have to be careful with your language, with materials, so that the child can extract the truth and it won't cause too many bumps and waves in the family, because ultimately these children grow up. They have to navigate the world for themselves, and it would be good if they had the truth, at which time many children do depart from viewpoints of the parents, but they keep respect with the parents. Does that make sense to all of you all? Because we're not trying to turn a child against their parents. That's not the way. You want to teach that child how to navigate the world by way of truth, not by way of lies, so that child can discover. He can remember scriptures, he or she can remember scriptures. They'll really know the person of Christ. That'll be very important. And they can see for themselves what's happening before them and navigate it based on their choices, right? So you want to, if we can arm the children with truth without making waves with their households, regardless of the background, that will be good. The entire entire idea is to introduce Christ to them. The entire idea. I've noticed in certain children's programs, people will introduce the concept of being good, right, through children's ministries. But the children, they don't know who Christ is. They know his name, but they don't know what he did. They know how he walked with the disciples and what he did, but it's disconnected with their own lives. Many of you are out there right now, and it's still very difficult for you to accept that somebody would come to this earth and take your place. He was called the Son of Man, by the way. Do you guys know why they called him the Son of Man? Do you know why? Why not the Son of God? He kept referring to himself as the Son of Man. It's because he came in our capacity. He came in our capacity, in the flesh, in our capacity, on purpose, with all the frailties and everything else. He did not come here with, a supernatural immunity to pain and all these emotions that we deal with. No, he came with all of our frailties. The Bible says, and he was in all points tempted as we are, but without sin. So he never acted upon those temptations. So he came in our place. He walked before us in our place, and then he was persecuted. He was persecuted. He was tortured. And then he was hung and shamed to the point of death. And then he descended to hell. That's when he said, that's when he implied that the Father had looked away from it, right? Because he descended into darkness. But Jesus also said that God had given him the power to rise from that place. And when he got down there, paying that price in full, now here's the part that gets me. Most people think in 2 or 3 dimensions. I normally do not. When Christ descended into Sheol, right? When he went into Sheol, you have no idea how long he was down there. And I often think, if he did that for all of us, what and if he's spiritually, because it's the spirit realm, time does not exist in the spirit realm, right? What if he really did, on an individual basis, take our place, resolve the punishment? The sentence for sin is death and separation from the Father. And he took that punishment upon himself. But what if he did that for an eternity, for all of us? For an eternity. For each and every one of us. I mean, for a complete eternity. Have you ever thought of that? Because there is no time in the spirit realm. We should know this by dreams. I had a dream one time, and I can almost promise you that dream lasted at least 2 months. I woke up every day in the dream. I went to work, came back. That it seemed like that dream lasted 2 months, and then I woke up and only, a little time had passed, and it was still a dream. And I'm telling you, that absolutely happened more than once in my life. So I don't really subscribe to the concept of time like most people. I know time is a boundary set for us so that we can reflect. In fact, it's written that way regarding time. But if he took that sentence for all of us on an individual basis, then he's very intimate with everybody who could ever exist. And he took that punishment upon himself, which means he more than paid that price in full. He took our place for everything you could ever do that was against the living God. Every sin you could ever commit, he already paid the price for in full for all of us. He paid that price. And here we are, not thinking about that. Who's telling that story? That he took upon himself our punishment, which is why we can be redeemed in the first place, because he took on the punishment in the flesh. So the pain we were supposed to feel, he absorbed. The despair we were supposed to have for years on end, he took upon himself. The pain and anguish that we were sentenced to, he satisfied. Do we ever think about that? I'll tell you something. Because when you think of it that way, It is not some disconnected story, but it provokes thought, deep thought. And it causes a person to do more than just stop sinning. It causes a person to lose their taste for sin in the first place. And it no longer do you live your life trying to avoid sinning here and sinning there. You walk your life in a confidence saying, no, I want no part of sin. You make a real choice, because there's no way you can be so heartless to have somebody take your place, to absorb your sins in full, and still agree to going out there in the world and sin. But nobody ever tells that story. Have you guys noticed? The story that's told, I believe, is with good intention, but it almost has no impact. It's almost like there's an understanding gap in that story, right? And it's not communicated in a way that we can absolutely, really get the first time, right? So if somebody would communicate that story in that degree, that depth of emotion, you could say, with that much connectivity with real life, so somebody could really understand it, I'm telling you, a person would choose not to sin. It would change. People would look at other people, not with the eyes of criticism, not being a critique or anything else, but they would look upon a person and say, wait a minute, Jesus absorbed their entire punishment also. The ones out there sinning in the world, the ones out there doing everything, Jesus absorbed their entire sins. The pain, the anguish, the separation, the darkness, the days of despair, the years of despair, he absorbed for them. He took their place. And when you look upon another person and you realize the Messiah did it for them too, it will change the way you look at them. Because then you look at them and you realize they really don't know he did that. They don't know he did that. And when you start looking at a person with different eyes like that, you realize they have no idea the Messiah did that just for them. It changes the way you see them. You're not trying to, have them damned anymore. You're not trying to judge them anymore. You will do everything in your power to try and let them know some way what Christ did for them, so they won't blow it, right? Because you'll see them with different eyes. You'll see your family with different eyes. You'll realize right in that moment they have no idea what Jesus actually did for them. Because if they did, there's no way they could continue doing what they're doing. But could you all agree there's a huge disconnect in this world right now with the story of Christ? See, there's a structure behind Christianity. A lot of people see, but the story of Christ is almost all but lost. It's just not there. Because without that story, the sincerity is not there. The commitment is not there. People think differently. They're trying to maintain a status of being a Christian, disconnected from what Jesus already did, and they have no strength to keep the standard because their eyes have not been opened to the fact that Jesus, in truth, paid that price. He came in the form of mankind with all of his frailties and suffered everything. Everything. That would almost be like you getting in trouble in the world, and all of a sudden somebody walks up to you, a stranger, and you're sitting in a courtroom, and they judge you guilty, right? And you realize at that moment in that trial that you made a huge mistake, but it's too late, you're guilty. You're about to be sentenced. And the sentence comes down. And you're to serve life in prison with no chance of getting out. And only to be put to the electric chair at the very end. And you have to depart from everything you ever knew because of a stupid mistake. And then somebody walks up and they say, Judge, I'm going to take this person's place. I'll serve that life sentence. And you don't even know the person. That would be surreal. That would be something that nobody would do. A stranger to come up and take your place, to pay for your crimes. How could you live with if somebody paid for your crimes, how could you live with yourself? It'd be pretty hard, wouldn't it? It'd be hard to return back to life like nothing ever happened. There's no way you could return back to life like nothing ever happened. Now listen up close. See, because in this story, it may seem passive because there's something else you're not thinking about. And when I come back, and when I get Mixlr back up and running and I come back, I'm going to go through a process. I'm going to take you guys through a process. Now, some of you guys have heard this before, so obviously you don't have to listen again, but I'm going to take everybody through a process so that it's at least understood by you all. Okay? I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back. Mixlr is going to be online, and then we'll go from there. All right? I'll be right back with you guys in just a few minutes.
Yeah, well, he sure has a way of teaching that part, eh? I gotta turn it down while he's on a break. So I did a show this morning, and I started getting upset. And I'm sorry for whoever was in there, but I've been teaching. I've had so much patience with this Mr. Rabbit guy that came in, and I started getting upset. And the Lord told me, calm it down, and he calmed me down. And I said, stay in the room, because listen, I don't want to turn my back against anybody, especially if he doesn't have God, right? He doesn't know what Jesus did to him. He believes in a God, but he doesn't believe in Jesus. And I have to be patient with him, because the Lord's being patient with me. He's long suffering and patient with me. Through patience possess his soul. So I felt guilt. I felt bad, eh? And I was like, no, just stay, buddy. He's like, on the way out, he said, I love you guys. He also told me, which I think he may be, oh, did you know NASA's watching you? Because there's stuff that I have and information about the destroyer that I have that people are looking for. NASA is, right? So they can turn it into their own story, probably. Who knows? But he always comes in and says something about NASA. Today he said, don't you think people from NASA are watching you? And he's like, goodbye, I love you guys. And he left. I was like, wow. And I've heard him say stuff on NASA all the time. So we don't know who's in our room watching us, that maybe we can help turn them right to God too, and not by casting them asunder. And God said, whoa, to me, wait, did I kick you out? And I was right away, no, let him stay. I love you. I'm sorry, guy. It's sometimes, when someone comes in your room and they're always speaking the same thing against God and Jesus, I let it get the best of me a little bit today, and I apologized for that. So, anyways, we're just waiting for Mike to come on. If I'm not in the room, it's because I'm doing stuff out there, right? So, excuse me. This I did for you. I do for you guys. Anyways, I usually do it on Mixer. I listen to it on the side. So when I'm doing other stuff, I'm sitting there still listening. Just because I'm not present in the room with you doesn't mean I'm not present via spirit, right? So I carry when I'm doing when I'm not here, I'm carrying something on me listening to Mike. I don't miss a second of Mike. I've listened to every one of his broadcasts that he probably ever had for 6 years and beyond. Okay. Forever how long he's been. I caught him on YouTube. I found him on YouTube, and they used to kick people off that used to put council time on YouTube. so he doesn't have one anymore. But now they're not kicking him off anymore. So they used to kick me off for using Mike too. They don't like him because he's too close to the truth, right? He seeks his face every day and he walks. I can guarantee you he doesn't have some of the problems that I even do. So, because he has much more power. He's read the Bible 12 times. I've read the Bible twice. Okay. So each time you read the Bible, you gain more strength, knowledge, and wisdom, right, through God, and and better interpretation as well. But with what I interpret, God gives me, I can't teach any more or any less, and I sort of keep in the same realm of my teachings, right? So because I don't know everything, I'm not God. It takes you about 5,000 years to actually probably understand the full Bible. And I don't think even after that you'd be able to remember line for line, word for word in the Bible. That's impossible. Only God knows that, right? Because it's His word, right? Him and Jesus. Jesus is the word, right? So, anyways, my wife left today and she went to her daughter's place, which I'm very, very grateful. I personally can't spend too long, even with my own wife anymore. Okay. She goes against everything I said. Like today, I said, I think a NASA person's watching me. Why would they send me? You got 123 people on your channel. Why would they do that? Because information that comes out of channels, newscasters are doing that as well. They're taking their information from Christians because they have more accurate information right now because the world's information's been fornicated. It's all fornication. It's all a lie. Everybody knows fake news. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys this picture Mark sent me. And I knew this. I seen it before. This is my flyer for me street preaching, my new flyer. I'm supposed to go out tonight, but I'm not really ready, right? That's my new flyer. This picture is mind-blowing. Okay, The Simpsons, they've been right on a lot of things. Watch this one. Watch Joe Biden's mask, by the way.